Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our webinar on coupling local climate solutions, integrating energy mobility and finance. I'm Kana Gokarn. I'm an officer at the Sustainable Energy team here at the ICLE World Secretariat in Bonn, Germany, and I'll be emceeing this session, so to speak. Next slide, please. Just to walk you through what you can expect at this session, which promises to be engaging and interactive. We'll begin with a brief introduction about the topic and set the scene. We'll follow that with a panel discussion featuring three wonderful speakers and an equally wonderful moderator. We'll follow that with an interactive session where you'll have a chance to interact with your fellow attendees and share your insights on the theme of the session. And we will end the session with closing remarks from a distinguished guest. Next slide, please. Before we start, a few general housekeeping rules. I'm sure these are quite familiar to most of you, but if you have any questions during the panel discussion, please do not hesitate to post them in the chat directly so our moderator can pick them up. This session is, of course, being recorded and will be available on the Daring Cities channels later. Please note that the breakout rooms that we'll split into later will not be recorded, so you can be a bit free with what you say. And as for the microphones, please keep them muted while the panel discussion is in progress, but of course, unmute them during the breakout rooms. Next slide, please. Yes, so just to set the scene, as you may already know, our session is trying to understand the different interlinkages between energy, mobility, and finance, particularly at the local level. At ICLE, we believe that cities and regions can really lead the fight against the climate emergency based on the number of powers they have at their disposal, whether it's through planning, through control over transport, buildings, energy efficiency, and their own operations. There's a lot of scope for immediate action at the local level. This brings about, of course, a number of benefits, including reduced emissions, local jobs, increased revenue generation, and so on. And of course, this would not be possible. And in fact, it needs support from other actors, including financial institutions, national governments, and so on to scale up this implementation. So this session, we really wanted to explore how these links play out, how their interlinkages can be improved, and we hope to learn a lot more from our panelists. Next slide, please. So let me briefly introduce our panelists. We have Mangesh Dige from the Pune Municipal Corporation, who will be speaking on Pune's experience with mobility solutions. We have Aksinia Sinko from Zhytomyr in Ukraine, who will be speaking about their city's energy solutions and challenges. And finally, we have Risto Weibel from the city of Turku, who will be talking about innovative finance solutions. And last but not least, we have our moderator, Tumi Tran, who is the head of sustainable mobility at the ICLE World Secretariat, who will be moderating this discussion. So thank you once again for being here. And I will now hand off to Tumi to take us forward with the panel.
Thank you very much, Kanak, and for the wonderful introduction to this wonderful session. And I would like also to thank all the panelists that made the time to be here today, and of course, all the participants. And I would like to start with Mr. Mangesh Dige from the Pune Municipality Corporation. And a note here is that Mr. Mangesh Dige will have to leave a bit earlier. So he might not stay for the entire session. So if you have any questions, please place them in the chat box. And Mr. Mangesh, could you share with us a bit more about your vision of mobility in Pune? Pune is doing a lot. So, and also what are your main priorities? How are you combining mobility with energy and finance as well? And what other cities could be inspired by you in mobility and transport?
Yeah. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for inviting Pune City to be a part of this. I'd like to share the vision of mobility here with all of you. Pune City's mobility has been the top priority when it came to doing a survey under the Smart City program. where when we surveyed the citizens, we came up with around 50 more than 50% of the people saying that mobility is a big issue in Pune city. So to tackle this mobility, we took step by step programs, and the number one priority was, again with us, is to understand the overall mobility. So there were many studies which were conducted in terms of traffic transportation plan, or comprehensive mobility plan. So we understood what is the overall status of the type of vehicles, the trip length, etc., all those technical things. But more than that, it is important for a city to improve its mobility. And when we think of mobility, we bank upon the National Urban Transport Policy of India, which talks about how do we move people and not cars. So, taking cue from that policy, we came up with something known as Urban Street Design Guidelines, which is a part of the municipal corporation now. These guidelines emphasize on how do we retrofit our streets so that they can become more pedestrian and non-motorized transport friendly. So these guidelines were approved by the general body, that is the political body of municipal corporation, and we took up few pilot projects and the smart city. And after those pilot projects, now we are in a position that our municipal budget we are allocating for urban street design guidelines. So how, when the footpaths are designed, the cycle tracks are designed, it's not only the architectural design, but we have also incorporated some of the elements, like if we have to design the street for children of say 3 to 5 year old under a program known as Urban 95. So if we design our streets for children, they can be used very comfortably for all section of the society. So that was about the street design. But we also have a program known as National Clean Air Program, which comes from the federal government. And Pune city is one amongst the 131 cities in India to receive funds for the air pollution. So with respect to air pollution, our focus again with utilizing those funds is 80% of the fund should go into EV, electric mobility. And within that, again our focus is on the public transport buses on electric mobility. So currently, out of the 2,000 bus fleet population in Pune city, more than around 450 buses are plying in Pune city, and they've covered more than around 5 crore kilometers and saved around 7,000 tons of carbon emission. So electric buses started as a small number 3 years ago, 150 buses, and today we are up to 450 buses. They're very much enjoyed by the citizen because of the quiet, comfortable travel, and the ticket rates are the same as the regular buses. So here, not only electric buses, but the current fleet of the diesel buses, we have converted them to CNG. So I'm proud to say that 88% of the total bus is moving either on CNG or electric, and remaining 12% is on the diesel bus as a fossil fuel. So, therefore, public transport mobility has seen a drastic change in Pune city. And from the citizen point of view, from past 4 years, the BS6 category vehicles are registered, which are much more better engine technology vehicles. Plus, we do see a rise in number of electric two-wheelers and four-wheelers increasing in the city. Uh, to to make Pune city EV friendly, we have formed an EV cell in municipal corporation, which has got stakeholders from different organizations, right from manufacturers to various government organizations to the energy supplier. And we hold a number of meetings very frequently to understand that if we have to increase the number of charging stations in the city, what should be the strategy, whose role should be what, because this form of energy is a new entrant in the city, and the cities have to really gear up to really take care of these energy demands for mobility. So these are the various different avenues that Pune city is working on. And with respect to energy, definitely the energy use in residential areas also has increased, and we are providing subsidy to the household which adopt to solar rainwater vermicomposting for the tax payers. So around 15% of the tax money is given as subsidy to such people. More than 1 lakh people are now using these property subsidy scheme. But we've also made few changes in bylaws where 20% of the parking space in the buildings is now can be allocated for the electric vehicle charging facility. So these are some of the administrative changes that we want to bring about in reform. But technology, as is progressing, so we do have a set of challenges where some of the things like can we have more number of battery swapping station is still a challenge to us. So these are the various aspects that we are working on. The funds which we receive from federal government, we are using those funds for buses, yes, but even the back end infrastructure for the buses, like the charging depots for buses. So all of a sudden, when 100 buses come for charging station at night time, there's a huge demand in energy, and we have to lay down a separate line from the power supply company to cater to this demand. So this is the back end support that the municipal corporation is giving to the public transport company in terms of electrifying the bus fleet. So these are some of the things I wanted to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this wonderful overview. And you started with the Smart City program, and essentially you touched upon some of the pain points of a big city like traffic, air pollution, and road safety by indicating the street design and also the pollution component related to electrification. And you have also identified components related to technology and land use, essentially, and some of the elements, and a bit of a mix bag of different policies that a city can implement, from a technology change, which can be costly, to essentially policy measures. And I wonder if you could elaborate a bit more on India is doing a lot on electrification, and in particular today's panel is related to electrification, to energy, mobility, and finance as a nexus. And therefore, if you could elaborate a bit more related on how the municipality is collaborating perhaps with the energy or the transport departments, or how the environment department is facilitating some of this, and if you could elaborate a bit more on these points, or on how you engage a bit more the community as well.
Actually, this is a very new thing for the city, and therefore we formed this EV cell in municipal corporation, bringing all the EV related stakeholders. So when we have a common meeting, that's the place where we understand each other's needs and the needs of the citizen in terms of charging facility. So definitely this kind of coordination between various stakeholders helps the city to gear up for EV mobility. It can also be related to something like where do we have the charging stations. So one department of municipal corporation which constructs say multi-storied parking complexes, so can we allocate a special area for such kind of charging station? What are the changes that we need to bring about in terms of on-street parking and off-street parking, so that we keep the places reserved for EV vehicles? So these are some of the points that we discuss and try to find a solution when we come across an EV cell. We are also doing some of the innovative things like say public transport, intermediate public transport like auto rickshaws. So we're giving subsidy to these auto rickshaws, rupees 25,000 per rickshaw, so that we can promote more EV auto rickshaws in Pune city. So different ideas do come up in these EV cell meetings, and the funding then comes from either from the municipal corporation or from the 15th Finance Commission under the National Clean Air Program. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for elaborating on this point and on the importance of also stakeholders' engagement and understanding what is the demand and balancing different interests as well, right? So thank you very much. If you have any questions for Mr. Magash Diga, then please put them in the chat, and I will try to see if we'll have an opportunity later on to ask the questions. And I would like to move on to a completely different context with the next speaker, Aksenia Sinko, who is the project manager for the City Development Agency of City of Zhytomyr in Ukraine. And Aksenia, over to you to share with us a bit more about energy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. And yeah, once again, like my name is Aksenia Sinko, and I represent one of the really, I would say, daring cities of Ukraine, Zhytomyr. Yeah, and maybe you know, maybe not, but still we are located in the north of Ukraine, and Zhytomyr is, I would say, quite a big city. So because the population amounts to 200, around 60,000 of residents. So, and it's pretty a big city, I must say, and we are one of the most like, let's say, progressive cities of Ukraine, I must say, because the policy we are making and the way we are moving, it's considered all around Ukraine pretty progressive. So what can I say, actually? So first of all, can you please move to the next slide, please? Yeah, thank you so much. So, and I must say that being a very progressive city, we would like to be a very worthy member of the world community. And of course, we are trying to reach the global goals like in green transition. Yes, and we are trying to do our best in terms of reaching what we have promised to reach according to the Covenant of Mayors and everything like that. But still, we are also facing some current pressing energy needs. And let me please first talk about the real needs and challenges which we have now in our energy sector. And basically, first of all, we must understand that in Ukraine, we have kind of two types of energy which we are basically interested in. So that's first of all, the thermal energy and of course the electric energy. So both are really topical for us, and I can't even say which one is more critical nowadays. Of course, we are facing great lack of electric energy, but still winter is coming pretty soon, and we are also worried about the heat energy. And also so the most pressing need for us nowadays is to provide the reliable power supply to all the district heating system we have. Because otherwise we will face a great challenge in Ukraine that people will just basically not have heat. And once the heating system, the district heating system just freezes, you know, it will be very costly to replace all the pipes, and it will be also time-wise pretty impossible. And therefore we are trying, and we have to make sure that we have basic power supply, at least for the critical infrastructure facilities. So, and this is one of the challenges we are facing now. And also I will be now talking about some short-term solutions which we have thought of and which we have elaborated in our city. And one of them, actually, can you please move to the next slide? Will be this one. This is a very nice and very new to us solution. It's cross-feeding of the heat supply system. I'm not sure whether you understand how it works, but it's a very interesting system which helps, hopefully, will help us to overlive this winter in case of some power shortages and in case one of our 55 boiler houses will be off, and this will help. So the principle of this system is the following. So we have divided our city in some kind of regions, some kind of districts with some boiler houses in each, and we have provided the cross-feeding. So basically we just connected the pipelines in these regions in between. So it's like an intersection of all the pipelines in order to provide heat, even though, for example, one of the few boiler houses will be just out of order. Because, for example, if you understand, of course, in which situation we are now, so we are now currently in a very challenging situation politically, and we are trying to like face these challenges. And if, for example, we have an emergency situation, for example, let's say a rocket hitting a boiler house or some kind of like that trouble. So in that case, we have to provide people with the heat. And with this system, it will be possibly possible because when, for example, one of the boiler houses is out of order, another boiler houses in the same region will be connected to the pipelines of the previous region, and they will supply the heat through these pipelines to that region which is currently out of heat, for example. Yeah, so this is a very new decision because we didn't have it before, but now it has already been implemented through all our central heating system. So we have been pretty progressive in this regard, and let's say we are more or less ready to this challenge in the future, and we are hoping that it will work and will work really well. So this is one of the decisions, short-term decisions, and actually more emergency decisions, I would say. But still, we are happy to do that, and we are proud of doing that, because not all the cities of Ukraine have that. And in case they would have the same trouble, even 15, 20, it depends on the winter. So that's one of the first solutions which we have. And can you please move to the next slide? Yeah, thank you so much. And also, of course, one of the most important issues for us, this is the decentralization of our electricity generation. As we all know that Ukraine is now facing a great challenge with the electricity generation because of our electrical power units being hit all the time and being destroyed all the time. And for example, if to compare with the last year, now the situation has really deteriorated pretty much, and we have much fewer electricity generation units than before. And now we have to find a solution how, again, at least to provide the power to the boiler houses in order our people don't stay without heat over the winter time. And for that reason, we have also got the thing which you can see actually now currently in the slide. These are gas piston plants. Currently, we have already installed 2 of them. And I must say also this was a very nice humanitarian technical aid from the USA to us. And so 2 are already installed. 4 of them will be hopefully installed, but they are still negotiated. So hopefully they will. But still, this is like the principle of these gas piston plants is the following. So they are located in some kind of like containers, as you can see. So they could be mobile in case of very, very big need. Of course, they're more or less stationary, but anyhow, they could be moved. And they produce the electricity out of gas. So basically, they are connected to the boiler house, which provides the gas to the main system, yes, and which provides some amount of gas needed for this plant in order it starts producing the electricity. So, and we have some of those, and we hope to install some more of those, and this will help us to decentralize the electricity generation which we have now in Ukraine. So, and this will possibly again help us to let's say to provide at least the heat and to provide at least the critical infrastructure facilities with the electricity once the time comes. So that's actually, if to talk about very critical solutions, can you please move to the next slide? Yeah, and of course, I think everybody knows what we can see now in the picture, except for 2 nice Ukrainian men. You can see some generators, yeah, diesel generators, and which of course are very much needed to, let's say, I would not say decentralize our energy supply, but still at least to support some critical infrastructures in order just to provide them with the electricity. So all the facilities of the critical infrastructure nowadays in Ukraine are provided with the following diesel generators. So in case of a great emergency, they will have a power supply for, let's say, maybe 1.5 or 2 days maximum. But still, it's not a long-term solution. So we must understand it's only temporary. But still, due to the humanitarian aid and technical aid from the other countries, especially actually Germany, and we are very much thankful to them as well as to the others, we have got enough of diesel generators of different capacity. In total, we have like 10.2 megawatt of electric power, if to talk about all the diesel generators we have. So to be able to provide our critical infrastructure with the energy once it's needed. Yeah, we also must understand that the cost of the diesel fuel, it's really heavenly for now. And I mean, for Ukraine, okay, for Europe, maybe not that much, but still in Ukraine, I think 1 liter costs approximately 1.3 euro. So for us, it's pretty high price. And if you can imagine, you have to provide diesel for all the diesel generators in case of need. So yeah, that would be pretty critical, and we would not be able to do that. But still, in case of need, we have this backup option, which makes us also hopeful. And also on the right side, you can see a modular boiler house. It's a very interesting installation, which we also use to support our critical infrastructure facilities. This modular boiler house is, I haven't actually seen it in Ukraine before personally, so I think it's also kind of a novelty for us. This is a small boiler which you can move around to the building, which was which didn't have, or which doesn't have actually the heat supply. And so it's enough to provide the whole building with the heat supply for some time. But again, it's only a temporary solution, so we must understand. But still, we have all these like pieces of the puzzle yet in order to provide our residents at least with the heat over the winter time. So can you please move to the next slide? Thank you so much. Yeah, and enough speaking about some kind of critical infrastructure and some not really good things. So let's speak about something more positive. And this is something we are trying to do already, let's say, in a global level, or at least whole Ukrainian level. So we are trying to implement some nice energy solutions in order to have some green transition. Yeah, of course, the most popular problem for us is to replace natural gas. Everybody knows that. And not only for us, this is a problem, but we are doing a good job, I must say, in this regard, because we have, as you can see in this slide, it's like a bit of boasting, so, but still I can't help it. We have reduced actually natural gas consumption almost plus minus by 50% since 2012. So once in 2012, we consumed 99 million cubic meters. Yes, so nowadays it's only 51.5. This is a great change for us, and this is a great achievement for us. But I must say also, we hope and we do believe that we will be able to do that. So by 2030, we want to reduce the the current consumption of natural gas. So that is 51.5 million cubic meters by 8%. So by 2030, even this number will be hopefully reduced by 80%. And we want to do that by different means, of course. And one of them, of course, this is the development of alternative energy as much as we can, at least. So can you please move to the next slide? Thank you so much. So, and this is one of the first and major steps for us. We are trying to implement CHP plants. So as you can see now in the slide, you have numbers for four respectively plants which we have already implemented or which we are going to implement. So the first one is already done, so it provides heat and power. This is a nice installation which was done through the financial help and support of the Swiss government. And it's already working, it's already in operation, producing both heat and power. And also we have some more which are implemented through the funds of EBRD. And the last one, it was implemented through our local financing. And the biggest one, which is the third one, which you can see, it will produce hopefully 30 megawatts of heat and also 10 megawatts of electricity. So this will be a very huge plant. And we are very keen on implementing this one maybe in about 2 years, we suppose, because now it's only the negotiation stage. So we have found some investment for that, but still there will be a tender held. Of course, it's not such a fast procedure, but still we have some potential investors, and that makes us also happy and hopeful for the future. So, and once these all plants are implemented and put into operation, and of course, we have to renovate a bit our heating supply system a bit still, though we have already done quite a good job in this regard as well. So taking all these measures together, we will be able to reach the saving of 80% of natural gas consumption by 2030. So, and that will be a huge, huge change, taking into account that in 2012, we were using like almost 100,000 cubic meters. So, and that's what we are actually doing. And of course, we are very happy to get the financial support and also humanitarian aid from different countries. We are very much thankful for that. And due to them, thanks to them, of course, and our own local efforts, we could have implemented so much already, but we have still a way to go. Can you please move to the next slide? Yeah, thank you so much. And here we are coming to the investment component. Yes, so we are actually, I mean, Zhytomyr is one of the most, how to say that, for the better word, loan-taking city in Ukraine. So we are really the city which takes lots of loans and grant funds in order to implement what we want to implement. So, and that's actually wonderful because the world community sees that we are worthy participants of their programs and they trust us. And since especially 2015, we have done a great job at the local level and of course at the national level partially in order to attract loans and grant funds from different partners. So, and you can also see our wonderful partners in the bottom of this slide. Yes, and again, we are very grateful to them. And these numbers, which you can see here, these numbers state the funds which were taken as loan or grant since 2012. But I would say mainly since 2015, because yeah, the first one was in 2012, but it was very small one, so we even cannot calculate it or take it into account. So we can start with calculating these numbers from 2015. So, and we've done a really great job since then, and we are still hoping to continue doing that. So, but also, except for the international financing and investment, we are also trying to provide our local support, so our local financial support, I mean. And can you please move to the next slide? And a wonderful example of that is actually a huge project which was implemented in Ukraine. It's the replacement of all the street lighting system to the LED technology. And so actually, this is a very smart technology, pretty smart, and we are very proud of that because it also helped us to reduce the electricity consumption, as you can very well see, by 50%. And that was really a great achievement to us because all the smart system helps us to regulate the electricity consumption quite much. So, and also during the summertime, you know, we faced a very big electricity shortage, yeah, because all the people, it was very hot. Maybe you know that it was very hot in Ukraine, terrible. And all Ukrainians, they wanted to turn on conditioning, of course, the fans and ventilators and all the equipment they could get. And unfortunately, people are not always rational. They are trying to turn on everything at once. And then we had our electricity system just was out. Yes, it couldn't really bear the load. And therefore, due to the street lighting system, we could save the electricity pretty much because we could regulate the electricity consumption. So they could, for example, reduce the intensity of the lighting poles around the streets at some certain periods of time. They could, for example, not put into operation all of the street lighting columns, yeah, but only some of those. So they could really regulate much the electricity consumption. And that was a great saving for us as well. And this project was implemented through the local financing. Some business also helped, but it was anyhow Ukrainian contribution, and we are very happy to have implemented that. So, I mean, we are trying to do also our best by our own means, though our means are not so vast, but still we are trying. Yeah, can you please move to the next slide, please? Yeah, and actually, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I hope you find it interesting. You're not sleeping now. I was trying to make different tones and intonations for you to be interested. And I can say that anyhow, you know, so we are trying to do our best in order to implement the best projects and the best solutions. Firstly, on the local critical level, let's say, and also on the worldwide level, so that we can really reach what we have promised to reach by certain time frames. Yeah, so, and we are trying to do our best in this regard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aksenia, for your time and for sharing all these different solutions. And understandably, your city is facing some challenges related to energy, and since it's a very key target, essentially. And you had also shared different type of solutions, from cross-feeding with the decentralization of energy, and also some alternative solutions that you're looking into on energy sources as well. And also it's impressive also the level of financing that you are able to leverage in this point in time. And I wonder if I can ask you a question. Very ambitious also your plan, like your project, and congratulations for this 100 LED street lighting project as well. There are like many solutions you have indicate them as very tactical or short-term solutions. I wonder if any of this, because they are making the system a bit more resilient from what I see, you see potential in the long term as well, because I'm drawing from my experience in mobility, sometimes we have a tactical solutions in mobility, and then we always look for long-term solutions as well. And I wonder what if you can share some of the learnings with other cities related to this. And of course, if you have other insights on what other cities can learn, please feel free to expand on that.
Yeah, okay, thank you for your question. And all the mainly things I mentioned, so they are kind of short-term solutions indeed. But we are trying to implement also long-term solutions, because all those mentioned, they are only temporary and only for the critical emergency situations. Yes, if to talk about the long-term solutions, I would say that we are mainly now trying to implement to construct the CHP plants which will work on biomass. And the thing is that we can provide the biomass by ourselves. So in our region, we have enough of the wood chips, for example, to provide the plants with this biomass, in order to make this plant a green one. Yes, not use the natural gas. And also we have also constructed already now, and it's already in operation. We have one plant which produces the SRF fuel. Yeah, so basically this is the fuel which is made out of the solid waste. And this company, they just, if to speak simply, yes, so they take the waste, the solid waste, and they produce some kind of fuel from it. And it's also locally already implemented, and they can provide this fuel to the CHP plants which we are now currently constructing and which we have already constructed. So this is one of the long-term solutions we have. And also I think in all around Ukraine, it's the same pretty much. But of course, it depends on the location and of the area. For example, in my area, the wind power it can't be used. So I can't speak about that, but maybe in some other regions of Ukraine, it could be also used. But we are also trying to integrate solar power solutions on our local level as well. So we have already implemented 2 small solar power plants. So they're not really big, but still these are the first steps we make, because it's also new to us. It's a new technology and it has only developed recently. And we are trying now to accelerate and to make it more and more, and to scale it up a bit. Yeah, so and we have already made some of those, and we are trying to also find some other financial and investment opportunities to implement more of them. But still, I would say the priorities now, they are more for the regular solutions, because, solar power, it's a very nice and very promising thing, but still it's not okay for the winter time or autumn time. Yeah, so that's why we are now mainly focusing on the CHP plants, I would say. Also keeping in mind, for example, the solar power, which we are currently also studying and trying to put in, to use it also in the future.
I think you anticipated a question from the audience related to what alternative source of energies are you trying to secure in alternative to...
okay, so I haven't seen the question yet.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So alternative, okay, that's the domestic energy. Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah. Exactly. So that was really mainly the solar power, I would say. So if to take solar power, wind power, and also the heat pumps. Yeah, the heat pumps. Yeah. So this is basically all wonderful, but solar power and heat pumps, they are so costly. So they are very costly equipment. And unfortunately, we could have used that, and we are very much interested in that. So we are still considering, but implementing it needs lots of funds, and finding nowadays investment is kind of complicated, because we can't really find the investment to cover the local needs. I mean, just the electricity supply and everything. So, and this distribution of the budget nowadays is a big issue, let's say so. But still, we are trying to work with the solar power. Yes, indeed. Yeah, but mainly we are focusing on creating local CHP plants, which will be distributed in the biggest regions of the city, so that they could provide the power and the heat. And it's kind of the way to decentralize the system.
Thank you very much, Aksenia, for your insights. And I'm glad that you mentioned also the cost, because the last speaker, Risto Weber, will speak about innovative approaches. So thank you very much, Aksenia. And
yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention.
And Risto Veivo from climate director of the city of Turku in Finland, one of the longest ECLE member and most active as well. And I think that you come with like a lot of experience in different topics. And in particular, we would like to explore a bit more on the topic of financing in cities for climate and energy and / mobility as well. And not only what are the challenges that you see, but also some of the innovative mechanisms that Turku is implementing. And if you have any response to the presentations from the other speakers, please feel free to do so.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure and honor to speak. And actually, I feel humbled to speak after Axinia, who are facing completely different challenges of another type and scale. Still, there is very much also to learn from that presentation. For instance, how to make the district heating system resilient to situations of war and deliberate attacks on the energy system. That's something that I think we need to learn also, and we certainly are learning and following on what is happening in Ukraine. Also, the decentralized production of electricity is of interest and has co-benefits and synergies with the energy transition actually ongoing in different parts of the world. Congratulations also on the progress with the LED lighting and the use of smart system in public lighting in order to manage with situations of lack of electricity supply. And also very interesting from Pune how to make the streets people friendly instead of designing them for cars mainly, and on the e-mobility, charging stations, mobility culture, a lot to learn there. Turku is a city of a bit more than 200,000 people in southwest Finland. It's the urban center of an area of 350,000 people, an old city, university city of many industries, including maritime, medical and biodiagnostics, etc. We have had a covenant, a city council level climate program since 2009, and at the moment we have reduced the greenhouse gas emissions of the area by 63% from the level of 1990 as of the inventory of 2023. A very profound energy transition from a fossil-based system into a renewable one has taken place during the last 15 years, and that has been the way to reach the largest part of the emission reductions. But also in the mobility sector, we have been able to reduce the emissions by nearly 30% from the level of 1990. And investments have played a key role in both of these transitions. We have invested into cycling and walking infrastructure, into public transport, and into energy transition. And without those investments, the reductions would not have been possible. However, a considerable but still limited progress can be reached with the investments of the public sector and of the city and state authorities and agencies. They have been very helpful in reducing the emissions from the energy sector and in creating the necessary infrastructures for sustainable mobility. However, private choices, private behavior, and private investments play a key role in actually reducing the energy consumption in using energy in a smart, sustainable way and in making the mobility choices on a day-to-day basis. We have also a centralized district heating system in Turku covering 90% of the households in the area. And the decisions and investments regarding that system we can do in a centralized manner at the city council and at the energy company and in joint companies. And in that sense, they are not easy, they are not cheap, but they are still manageable in a coordinated manner. Whereas the daily mobility choices are made by dozens of thousands of people in the city every day. And it's those choices that contribute to the emissions from mobility. If people choose to use private cars, if they have combustion engine cars, there's no way to get rid of the transport emissions. And therefore, the strategy and approach regarding environmental citizens and in mobilizing, encouraging, inspiring private investments is different to the strategy regarding the energy transition on a centralized level. And when it comes to investments, it also requires a different approach. Therefore, a growing emphasis has been on mobilizing people, motivating and empowering them to make sustainable choices, and not only to make choices of behavior, but also to make choices of investments and on creating different incentives to support such sustainable investments. So that's one challenge. We are tackling it, and we are doing that in collaboration with partners, including also funding institutions and finance and insurance sector, banks in the region. There's a growing emphasis on sustainable green loans, also for private customers within the banks in Finland and also in Turku. So that's one approach there. Regarding energy transition, we are quite far. The system is close to carbon neutral already and will be carbon neutral in the area during the coming years before 2029, when the city will celebrate its 800th anniversary. And we are investing most likely to a tram system in the coming years. We are investing more to sustainable construction, to sustainable mobility, and to a number of other topics there. And a new challenge, or not maybe a new challenge, but a new focus also needs to be on how we not only carry out climate investments and energy investments and sustainable mobility investment as such, but how we ensure that actually majority or even all of the investments that are done to infrastructure, to buildings, to different facilities, etc., that all of these investments would contribute to the climate goals and to sustainability, and in any case would not be contradictory to those goals. And that has been our approach during this council period. During the last couple of years, we have sought ways to check and make sure that the investments of the city and of the city companies would be sustainable. And the methodology that we have chosen to use is the application of the European taxonomy of sustainable financing. So all the investments of the city and city group companies are being evaluated against the criteria of the European sustainable financing taxonomy. In practice, this means that any investment in the city or city group subsidiaries, any investments of a value of more than 1 million euros is being checked against the criteria or the taxonomy of sustainable financing. This means that the investments are checked against their contribution to climate mitigation, to adaptation, to biodiversity, to circular economy, to the impact on the water bodies and the sea, and to pollution of the environment. So these 6 criteria, and that we have found to be a very profound and systematic approach. And while we are still working on investment portfolios for climate and for circular economy and for protection of the Baltic Sea, among other things, in parallel with that, we have now put all investments of a considerable value under the lens of sustainability with the use of the taxonomy. So I think that's maybe enough from our side.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Risto. I think I have one question for both you and Aksenia, and it's inspired by one of the participants, and it's related to, you mentioned that there is a limitation of what the public sector can do alone, and so I wonder if you can say a few words related to what the private sector can do, and what is the collaboration with it. I think that you already touched upon it a bit, so perhaps I could give the floor to Aksenia, and then Risto, I give you a few minutes to think about it, so if you have more insights about that. So Aksenia, the question was related to the LED project, if there was an involvement of the private sector as well, and for Risto in general, how you engage the private sector, and if you have any insights for other cities.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I have been reading already the question by myself, and because I didn't see it, to be honest, during the presentation, so now I saw it. Yes, exactly. It was the 3P method. Yes, so it means like public-private partnership. So it was indeed the same. Yes, so we were in collaboration with the local business company, which provided us with the financing. But the thing is that I must say that it wasn't really done all of a sudden, like in a very short time. So we have been implementing it bit by bit for quite some time, and in the end we could have reached this target. Yeah, so it wasn't really the matter of 1 or 2 days, but still it took really quite much time. So but anyhow, we just we just got this financing from the private company, and then we just added our budget, yes, our local budget, and then through these funds we could have implemented this project like in cooperation with the with the business.
Thank you so much.
I have also seen the question about the savings achieved. Yes, so it's amazing savings, I must say, because that was like 50% of electricity consumption. So it's really like double less than we used to consume. Yes, and and it was actually also mentioned in the slide. So it was 1.7 gigawatt per hour per year. So it's really huge savings, because, you know, we had very, very old system of lighting. So still very old bulbs, you know, lamps, which could use a crazy amount of electricity, but still now it's very, very new and very modern. So that's really great achievement.
Yeah, congratulations for the good achievement.
Thank you so much.
And now to Risto. Risto, you will have also the pleasure to close this plenary. Because we're running out of time. But in the meanwhile, there was also a question related to, apart from financing and the role of the private sector, it's also if you're competing with larger cities with financing, Risto.
It's a question here for my colleague, yeah, I suppose.
Yes, for Risto. Thank you so much, Aksenia.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, we are competing, but not for financing to our own investments, but mainly the competition is about where do the private sector companies and investors, where do they invest to? And in Turku area, we have quite a strong shared understanding with the city, with the neighboring municipalities, with state authorities, with our universities, and with the main companies and civic society entities in Turku, that our future strategy is a sustainable one. And it means that, for instance, the biggest companies in medical and diagnostics industry in Turku are already operating in a carbon neutral manner. the big shipyard aims at building carbon neutral ships, there are shipping companies that are investing into low emission ships already. The congregation wants to be carbon neutral by 2029. The welfare area of Southwest Finland has the carbon neutrality goals. Citizens share these same goals. So in that sense, the thinking of sustainability is a shared one, is quite strong one, and we see that our future is in that. It's not in fossil-based economy, but it's in a low carbon sustainable economy and solutions and innovations and businesses. And in that sense, it's a shared one, and we think that it's the advantage for the companies, for the research institutions, agencies, development agencies, for the public sector and the citizens, and for the future in the area. So at least the strategy is a shared one, and the position of cities in Finland financially is relatively strong, as it is in other Nordic countries as well. So we can actually collect taxes, and we have quite good position in the financing market. It's not difficult for us to get loans, but to get the private investments in the area is a key issue. And of course, to be able to live in conditions of peace, as we hope for everyone for the future, having sometimes big neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Risto. Thank you, Ksenia, and also thank you, Mr. Magesh, that for the insights from Pune, from Turku, and from the Ukraine. And in essence, we have heard a lot of different solutions, different policy measures, and we have also heard about tactical solutions, long-term solutions, and also big goals of different daring cities that are essentially implementing different type of strategies. And I move on to, I give the floor to Kanak for the parallel sessions, where some of this conversation can continue.
Perfect. Thank you so much to our panels, to Risto, Ksenia, and Mangesh, and especially the excellent moderation by you, Tumi. But that now brings us to part one, to the end of part one of our session. We begin part two with a more interactive space. As Tumi said, it will give you a nice chance to reflect on, digest the remarks that you've heard from our panelists. To do this, we will be directing you to 3 breakout rooms. Okay, welcome back everyone from your breakout sessions. I hope you had some interesting discussions, or at the very least had a chance to interact with your fellow audience members. From what I've seen of the discussions and some of the points mentioned, there's obviously a lot of overlap between these 3 sectors, whether that's through carbon credits, used to tackle both emissions and unlock another source of financing, whether it's upgrading electricity systems to enable the switch of mobility to electricity, or whether it's something as simple as LED lighting, making areas safer for other mobility options. So hopefully you can carry some of these themes and discussion points into further discussions at your end. That brings us to an end of part 2. I mean, obviously in part 1, we had a chance to reflect on the remarks from our excellent speakers from Zhytomyr, Pune, and Turku, and these cities who shared their concrete solutions and the leading steps they're taking towards implementing local climate solutions. One thing to note is that all of these 3 cities are quite active in the climate space, and they are members of various initiatives, notably the Urban Transitions Mission. This is an initiative that works to empower cities to adopt innovative solutions, brokering those various solutions, approaches, and knowledge to enable a net zero transition at the city level. To talk a bit more about what the Urban Transitions Mission is and how it can help your city, I would invite Giorgia Rambelli, who is the director of the Urban Transitions Mission, to give us her final closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Kanak. I hope you can hear me okay. And thank you very much to ICLEI colleagues and to the Urban Transition Mission Center together with Daring Cities for hosting this very, very interesting session. As you said, I have the pleasure to be the director of this initiative called the Urban Transition Mission. And I think very much it came out today throughout our conversation, but it's also very much at the back of everyone's mind when it comes to the role that cities have to play, that the transition that we are embarking on to mitigate, to adapt to climate change will be a costly one. Trillions of dollars will be required to support cities in building this low emission and resilient strategy for the future. And according to the World Bank, as urbanization is increasing, also the cost to provide, but also to protect and to manage the needed infrastructure is estimated to be between 11 and 20 billion of US dollar annually by 2050. So this is not just about money. Nonetheless, it's also about new technologies. It's also about skills that our cities are needing, not only to plan, but also to implement and to manage this infrastructure that will be game-changing for our communities in the future across the world. So as Urban Transition Mission, we work to mobilize decision makers, of course, to ensure that we can work across levels, but also by collaborating with academia, research, and in particular also with the private sector to make sure that decisions and plans are made across levels to prioritize net zero pathways that are enabled in particular by innovation across all different sectors. So we do that by fostering capacity building, so providing opportunities together with partners like ICLEI and many others to help our cities exchanging with one another, but also really to try to broker solutions that are already existing out there so that we can also identify what gaps are still there. So we talked about the role that the innovation can bring, but also the importance of making sure that this innovation reaches people at the right place, at the right time, in the right context. We work right now with 100 cities from 40 different countries across the world. And it's really clear that for all of these communities, transitions are extremely complex and there is a needed help that needs to be provided to embrace this complexity and turn it into something that can be a valuable input to really make a change, not only in our infrastructure, but also in the life and the quality of life of our community. There are some cross-cutting issues that we have investigated from the very beginning by talking to each one of these communities from the start. All of our cities have been flagging access to finance, lack of good quality data, need for strong regulatory frameworks, and really good partnerships also with the private sectors as key cross-cutting concerns that came out also from the conversations of today. So I think that the work that we need to be doing as a community and to continue, of course, fostering is to help cities in aligning their very ambitious vision, their great ideas with also proper investment plans that can enable these transitions to become reality, help acquiring and using meaningful data for planning, for forecasting, to make sure that we are not just talking about coupling sectors and bringing them together, but that we can have numbers that can help us understand what is the optimal way to ensure that this is happening in our communities and how can we leverage our context, our resources, our local renewables within these overarching plans. Then finally, I spoke about, and other colleagues here spoke about the importance of mobilizing private sector funding. So exploring new options, new ways, innovation, even in this field, to create opportunity for blended finance that can guarantee not only a financial return on investment for our private sector, but also can dedicate effort into fostering impact investment on the ground. I think what I want to stress is that for all of our cities across the world, the issues around sectors like transport and mobility, from selecting the right technologies, understanding better new technologies. There are a lot of open questions about how do we scale e-vehicles, how do we integrate opportunities with hydrogen that still need to be answered. So the importance of collaborating across cities, of course, but also with a mission like ours, initiatives like ours, and partners like ICLEI to really unlock the knowledge around new opportunities that are available out there to plan proper sustainable mobility of the future and to understand how to engage citizens in an effective manner in this transition is really an important element. Renewable energy production. How do we use new solutions, but also how do we tap into the opportunity the digital solutions are opening up for us to ensure that this transition can really happen in an integrated manner? So how do we address the issues around the scale that we need of digitalization, but also the interoperability across our infrastructure to ensure that we can really make the most out of the transition happening? Finally, I think I already mentioned it, but the point on data access, understanding better what our options are, and also make the case for proper investment that can bring on board private sector to really want to support these transitions happening from the bottom up for the quality of life of our different communities. So these are kind of priorities that our mission has at the moment, priorities that we have heard discussed today, and that really need a lot of attention and effort for cities across the world to tackle all of these different challenges. It's been a great pleasure to work with our Urban Transition Mission Center, the platform that is supporting our mission in really understanding how to collect and to bring together people to discuss these important challenges. So please allow me already from now to invite all of the colleagues here on the line to join the platform, to join the conversation, to take a peek into the different features that that platform can provide, and the support that can also be developed together with our help desk specifically dedicated to finance, hosted by the Urban Transition Mission Center. So do not miss that opportunity to join the conversation and to contribute. Thank you, Kanak, for sharing the link. Finally, of course, we would like to invite cities that are listening today to join our family. You heard Zhytomyr has been together with Turku and with Pune already one of the front runners in joining our community. We are looking for another 150 cities from across the world that are willing to take that leap together with us, together with our partners like ICLE, to really continue together with others that have a vision for a more sustainable future, an opportunity to explore what type of innovation is available there to help them and to support them. I'll conclude just by also inviting you very practically to join us and join our conversation to our upcoming annual Global Innovation Summit. We have a 2 days series of sessions that will be held on the 7th and 8th of October in Brussels, in Belgium. So come, connect, share, and come together with us to accelerate your city journey to net zero and resilient future. We know it's a very tall order. We know you have a lot of ambition and that you also need support in this journey. We are here to support you, and the community that we represent together with the many cities that I mentioned is here to also come along that journey together with you. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to give you the closing remarks, and Kanak, back to you to close the session.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Georgia, for your kind words and your remarks, and for tying together all the various discussion points we've had in this session. Just a few parting thoughts. If anyone is interested in learning more about what the Urban Transitions Mission cities are doing, we will be organizing another event in October, on the 1st of October, under the Daring Cities umbrella. And this session will be focusing a bit more on the energy aspect, particularly how to plan for the local energy transition in your city. In the meantime, feel free to check out the various initiatives that are on offer that can support you through this, of course, through the Urban Transitions Mission Center, as well as the 100% Renewables Energy Compact and Network. And please do not hesitate to get in touch with us if you need more information. Finally, these are the members of the Urban Transitions Mission Center that supports the UTM, and we'd like to thank their efforts as well. Yeah, finally, could go to the next slide. Yes, in terms of Daring Cities, we have the next event planned for the 22nd of August that titles Cities for All Bottom-Up Action for Just Urban Development. So please feel free to register and attend at your convenience. And I think that brings us to a close for this event. Thank you for your time, for your patience, and for your participation. Sending you all the best wishes for the rest of the day, for the week. And yeah, thank you again for being here.